Sir Patrick Mac. Space Force. Tarmac. You like to party?
Yeah.
You like cake? You like to party?
Yeah.
Okay. You like cake? 17. Here is a big fat I told you so. Rod Row remix. Here is a big fat I told you so. God, have a piece of cake. Boo. Have yourself a piece of cake. Mainstream media, pee in their pants. Mainstream media, pee in their pants. We have it all. No deals. God dog, Patrick. Keep it cool. This is the Whopper with cheese. Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mac. We're back with a message for the deep state.
You've got a big storm coming.
That's right, oddly confident lady. But first of all, I want to thank ESP Anon for setting me up with that musical jam right there, full of some of my quote-unquote highlights. What you think about that, John?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. It's kind of a jammy jam. How many Q posts we got today? Nice. Let's get right to them. Post 2066. We get this. 29 minutes after the hour, 5 p.m. on September 3rd. Both chambers, House/Senate, in session tomorrow. Where once there was dark, there is now light. And as you can see, we have an arrangement here. C-3 in brackets, A-5 in brackets, S-6 in brackets, D-1 in brackets, E-2 in brackets, L-4 in brackets. Well, take heart, boys and girls. I got a numbers guy, and he can count to 5. As a matter of fact, he can count to double digits. And we put this together, this little meme right here. And if you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 together, you got yourself DECLAS. Oh, ho, ho, ho. So could we be looking at 20 pages of cheesy, bacony goodness? Not sure, but it seems like a good stage to drop the bomb. After all, both chambers of the House and Senate are in sessions dealing with Kavanaugh. And of course, this might be a great time for Session to step up. So we shall see, huh? Should be any minute by the time you guys are watching this video. And of course, we over here at the IPOT team are like this.
What are you waiting for? Do it!
That's what I'm saying. Just do it already. Well, it looks like it could be coming down the pike, folks. 20 pages. That'll blow your mind, according to Devin Nunes. 20 unredacted, FISA up in your facer, bacony, cheesy, grilled up deep state takedown goodness coming down the pike. We shall see. Post 2067, 53 minutes after the hour, 5 p.m. And a non-post, Lord Kekistan over here. Here it comes. And then we get this Donald J. Trump tweet right here. The Democrats, none of whom voted for Jeff Sessions, must love him now. Same thing with Lion James Comey. The Dems all hated him, wanted him out, thought he was disgusting. Until I fired him. Immediately, he became a wonderful man, a saint-like figure, in fact, really sick. And the Anon says, here comes the red wave just before midterms. Q says, with love comes trust. Schedule changes can be very painful. Well, let's take you back to the tweet here. It's so true. We talked about this the other day, right? These people, they were not Jeff Sessions guys. Jeff Sessions was a Trump guy. Up until they realized that they thought he might actually be blocking this whole thing, that he might actually be sitting on his duff and not doing anything in regards to Trump and Russia collusion. So now they love him, right? And with love comes trust. Trust Sessions. And this is what I've been saying all along. We're talking about Columbo here. And Columbo's about to bust it wide open. At some point he has to, right? And it was the same thing with James Comey. Although I would argue that it's a little bit different. Comey's got a little bit different role in all this, doesn't he? He is one of the deep state knuckleheads. So we got Comey, Mueller, Rosenstein, and now Sessions, all being backed by the Democrats right now. And remember, they are stumping for midterms too, but only with one platform. They're cashing all their chips in on I hate Trump. We got to take down Trump, right? And they're also going in on Kavanaugh this week. They're getting all ready for these hearings, these Senate confirmation hearings. This is a big deal for them. Well, what happens if all of a sudden we get these 20 pages, this Whopper with cheese, dropping down, And it forces them to react. Not to mention, we've got Syria over here, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but they also have to react and take a stance on that, correct? So they've got to deal with Kavanaugh. They're going to have to deal with Syria. And they're going to have to deal with being now on the defense when they had prepared to be on the offense with these FISA pages. And at the same time, they're probably going to be forced to flip on Sessions. So this is going to expose them in a big, big way, really catching them with their pants down. And that seems to me to be a very, very painful schedule change. Let's see what the great Sun Tzu had to say about this. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. Well, this would be a pretty extraordinary moment, right? Keep in mind, the deep state has been preparing to grill Kavanaugh. They're very dead set against him, right? That's what they've been preparing. Next thing you know, 20 pages, a big fat bucket of truth dumping on their head, and they're all scrambling to play defense now. That's a pretty extraordinary moment. So they're going to have to come up with a stance on Syria. They're going to have to probably flip on Sessions. They're going to have to deal with the confirmation of Kavanaugh at the same time, and probably letting go of the whole idea that there never was any collusion between Russia and the president. Not to mention the fact that if any of this comes out and implicates No Name, they'll be forced to flip-flop on him too, after having spent the entire last week boo-hooing and eulogizing this guy. Well, this is going to confuse their base. It's likely going to decimate their base just in time for midterms. It's like stealing the round, yeah? So think about boxing. You're taught to keep both hands up. And every time you punch, although you're attacking, you're leaving one part of your body open, which means a counterpuncher can anticipate that and pop, 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 Bernard Hopkins style, hit you with a combo. Well, the deep state is about to get hit with a wicked combo, except this combo is a Whopper with cheese combo. Boom, just in time for midterms, some FISA up in your face. Post 2068, 59 minutes after the hour of 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we get two links, one to the BBC and one to Donald Trump's Twitter link. Q says again, magic sword. Let's take a look at the BBC link here. Blast shake Damascus military airport. Syria has denied reports that a series of blasts at a military airport near Damascus on Sunday were from Israeli airstrikes, state media say. The loud blasts reported at the Metza airport were caused by an explosion at a munitions dump, Sana news agency said, citing Syrian military sources. The incident was the result of an electrical fault, the agency added. Israel has launched airstrikes against Syria in the past and was accused of targeting Metza airport last year. The airport is believed to house Syrian Air Force intelligence. On Sunday, the head of UK-based monitoring group, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, Rami Abdel Rahman, told AFP news agency the Metza military airport was struck by a possible Israeli missile fired across the occupied Golan Heights. Earlier, an official in the regional alliance backing the Syria government also said the blasts were caused by Israeli missile fire from across the Golan Heights. But a Syrian military source later rejected the claim, stating that the base was not the target of Israeli aggression, according to state-run Sana. Images posted on social media appeared to show several powerful blasts in the area. In May, Israel said it had attacked Iranian military infrastructure in Syria, following what it said was an Iranian rocket attack on Israeli-held territory. The following month, Israel said it had shot down a Syrian warplane which entered its airspace, a rare incident between the two foes. In January last year, Syrian state media quoted the army as saying that several rockets had landed at the Metza airport compound, accusing Israel of bombarding the area. Okay, so could it be that this was our op that we had the other day? A munitions dump, huh? And all that was lost seemed to be all this Air Force intelligence. Now, they originally wanted to blame this on Israel. Looks like they're backing up on that. They're saying the Syrian military here is saying that that wasn't the case. So who struck this? Was this our op? Was this a preventative measure to avoid a false flag? Well, The second link takes you to Donald Trump's tweet that says, President Bashar al-Assad of Syria must not recklessly attack Idlib province. The Russians and Iranians would be making a grave humanitarian mistake to take part in this potential human tragedy. Hundreds of thousands of people could be killed. Don't let that happen. All right, so the drama is escalating, right? And of course, we've got Russian forces out there stacking up too. What's going on out there? Let's go to the Googly map real quick. And if I may, I want to show you where we're talking about. Excuse me. Now, if you look at the bottom of your screen here, the bottom of this blue line down at the very bottom center, that is where Al-Metza is, okay? This is where the bombings were. Now, about in the center of your screen, if you can see my mouse hovering in a circle, is where homes were. This is where some of the bombs that happened months ago were happening. And just east of here, these were all the different tunnels that were getting bombed. Remember where we found all this medical equipment? We were talking about spider webs and No Name McCain and all of this. Look back at some of my older videos if you don't remember this, but this is where it all went down. Now, if we go north to the top center of your screen where I'm hovering, in a circle, you'll see Idlib, and this is where President Trump is talking about. Okay, so that'll give you an idea. Now let me take you over to this article from RT. This is off of RT, dated August 28th. Foreign specialists may stage chemical attack in Syria in 2 days to frame Assad, Russian MOD. Foreign specialists have arrived in Syria and may stage a chemical attack using chlorine in the next 2 days, the Russian Defense Ministry said. This will be filmed for international media to frame Damascus forces. Defense Ministry spokesman Major General Igor Konashenkov said the operation is planned to unfold in the village of Kafr Zita in Syria's northwestern Hama province in the next 2 days. Let me stop right there and take you back to the Googly map. And you'll see that just north of Homs is Hama, right here in the center of your screen, in between Homs and Idlib, where Donald Trump was talking about in his tweet. Okay, let's take you back to the article. Konashenkov said the English-speaking specialists are already in place to use poisonous agents, while a group of residents from the north have been transported to Kafr Zita and is currently being prepared to take part in the staging of the attack and be filmed suffering from supposed chemical munitions and barrel bombs launched by the Syrian government forces. The group of residents will be used to assist fake rescuers from the white helmets. There we go, get those white helmets again. They will be filmed apparently suffering from the effects of chemical weapons and then be shown in the Middle Eastern and English language media. The Defense Ministry earlier warned that the US, UK, and France are preparing to use the planned attacks as a pretext for airstrikes against Syria. The USS The Sullivans and Arleigh Burke-class Aegis-guided missile destroyer, was already deployed to the Persian Gulf a few days ago. On August 22nd, U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton stated that if the Syrian regime uses chemical weapons, we will respond very strongly, and they really ought to think about this a long time. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov earlier warned that the U.S. is not finished looking for pretext for regime change in Damascus. In April, the U.S., UK, and France unleashed a bombing campaign on Syria in response to an alleged gas attack in Douma. That was the one we were talking about, for which the West blamed on Bashar Assad's government. The operation started hours before a team from the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons was due to reach the city. Okay, now let me take you back to this article. So we had these blasts, and these blasts were happening down here in Al-Maseh. Let me take it out there. And okay, you could work with me a little bit, Google. Thanks. Al-Maseh, right here. And President Trump is warning Assad not to bomb up here. We've already had bombing going on in between. And we've got this report that there's going to be basically what seems to be a false flag, a chemical attack going on. And Donald Trump starts tweeting about Bashar. Was he really going after Bashar al-Assad? And of course, then we've got Russia that's poised there to make it happen too, but it's Russia that reported this. So it seems like they're already ready for something to go on. Could that have been our operation? Was this a crisis averted? Let's take you back to the Q post, where we get simply these two words right here: magic sword. And I showed you that magic sword from yesterday, the real creepy looking sword, and this was the picture that people were talking about. Well, let me take you over here real quick. Turns out we have an operation, Magic Sword. It was a 1965 U.S. military operation designed to test the effectiveness of the seaborne release of insect vectors for biological agents. Operation Magic Sword was U.S. military operation undertaken in 1965. It was designed to ascertain the effectiveness of releasing mosquito vectors for biological agents at sea. It took place off the southeastern coast of the United States and employed yellow fever mosquitoes with the hope of assessing their biting habits following an ocean-borne release. Magic Sword showed that when coupled with ocean winds that the mosquitoes could travel up to 3.5 miles to shore. The operation also showed that if needed, the mosquitoes could be kept alive for cross-ocean journeys. So could it be that they were out there trying to stop this Operation Magic Sword, which may very well have been an infectious disease attack instead? Not really sure. Could have been like a yellow fever or West Nile virus sort of thing. That got me thinking about the Zika virus from way back in the day. And this came from rhesus monkeys. We're not going to go way into this, but this rhesus 766 was actually patented in 1947 by the Rockefeller family. And I'll leave this link here for you. But that got me thinking about that. And then, of course, when I was thinking about the Rockefeller family, I was thinking about the all-seeing eye symbol within the sword, the magic sword. So who knows? There's a lot we could search on here, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this was the kind of attack that we could be looking for. Incidentally, in my searches, I found one that affects cows called Q fever. And then, of course, I also thought about this Euphrates sword operation, which is sort of a potential operation. It was kind of an idea of invading right around here at Tel Abyad, which is not very far from Idlib. So I'm not really sure. There's also a counter operation, of course, called Euphrates Shield. So I don't really know about that. But let me turn you on to one more thing before we move on. An Anon sent me this email earlier. Hi SPM, I think I found something that might help on Q Post 2068. Or maybe it's another Q proof, I think. So I read this tweet that someone shared on Reddit shortly after Q post, and it takes you to this right here from POTUS schedule. Now, this is not a verified Twitter account, but neither was that NSA site we saw the other day, and there was a lot of good information on that. This says Monday, the 3rd, September 2018. After the motorcade was assembled and waiting, POTUS canceled outside travel. The district is hot, 95 degrees, and humid. Feels like 103. 11 o'clock, no POTUS traveled outside the White House. Secure area is expected today or tonight. Okay. Then this Anon goes on to say, I'm super curious about why they'd make a point to tell the exact outdoor temps in DC. I mean, seriously, who cares? He's POTUS, not a toddler. He can go inside or outside without permission or further explanation. It's only the MSM who are making a fuss about him going outside and then turning to go back inside. Nobody else gives a hill of beans. Then I thought, there must be a reason for them giving those numbers and telling us. The district is hot, 95 degrees, and humid feels like 103. What are they trying to tell us? This is my thinking. Please bear with me. What district are they talking about? 95 by 103 sounds like a location to me. Of course, 90 degrees is the highest number for Earth's longitude or latitude, but what are they talking about in the tweet? Temperatures. In America, we use Fahrenheit to measure temperatures, but most of the world uses Celsius. So what are the equivalents from Fahrenheit to Celsius? 95 degrees Fahrenheit equals 35 degrees Celsius, and 103 Fahrenheit equals 39 degrees Celsius. So now I searched the 35 by 39 longitude and latitude. Guess what I found? Palmyra, Syria. In Q's post 2068. She linked us to the Mesa airport, but that's only 3 hours from Palmyra, probably faster by jet. And as you can see, here is Palmyra right here, coming down from Tel Abyad. And where Al-Matsa was is right down here. I don't have it highlighted right now, but it's not very far. Okay, so interesting enough, right? The Anon goes on to say, then I find this from a Russian news network. U.S. trained militants to attack Syria's central city of Palmyra. And this was dated off the 1st of September, Russian military. The Russian Defense Ministry says newly obtained information from captured militants has revealed that the U.S. trained militants are set to conduct a terrorist attack on Palmyra, a city in Syria's central province of Homs, almost a year after it was liberated from the clutches of the Daesh Takfiri terrorist group. According to the Russian Center for Syrian Reconciliation, part of the Russian Defense Ministry, the information was received from 2 militants of the Lions of the East army group affiliated with the so-called Free Syrian Army, a Turkish-backed militia fighting against Damascus. The captured militants, along with their comrades, were heading towards Palmyra from a settlement of 500-strong militants near the U.S.-led International Coalition's Tanf military base when they were ambushed in early morning by the Syrian government troops, said a spokesman of the center in a press conference on Saturday. One of the terrorists said U.S. instructors were involved in training the group. Weapons and ammunition were delivered from the U.S. base. The militants' objective was to commit a series of terrorist attacks near the inhabited community of Palmyra and ensure the passage of about 300 militants to capture the city within the next week, he added. The militants were to carry out a series of terrorist attacks in Palmyra area and ensure the passage of around 300 militants to seize the city within the next week, he further revealed. How about that? So could it be that that was our op? Maybe it had something to do with either this virus thing or chemicals or who knows what. But either way, great catch, Anon. We're sticking you in center field. Nicely done. We're going to move on for now. Post 2069, 1 minute after the hour of 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I get the idea that Q is giving us a little bit of an update and some review, okay? Q has always been giving us this same list. It updates itself a little bit, but overall, it's a lot of review, and I think Q is making the point that this is a big deal. We have a lot of names that we need to clear out, and we've really had to go from bottom to top. And when you get to this graphic here, this is where we start to get near the top, okay? Michael Steinbach, John Glacalone. And this goes all the way up to James Comey, Jim Rubicki, and Andrew McCabe. Of course, they've already been fired. And then it also talks a little bit about these 2 FBI attorneys. Remember that when Nunes was asking about the one who, quote unquote, spoke French, he was referring to this Tashina Gohar, who was talking to this Kevin Kleinsmith, and they're connected to Sally Moyer. So we're not going to go through this whole thing here, but I think Q is impressing upon us that this is where we're at. Keeps updating us, letting us know what's going on and how difficult this really has been. A couple things I did notice here. We have Bill Priestap, who's going to be testifying. And Q says the power's been removed. We don't really know what kind of testimony that's going to be like. I have a feeling it's going to be very, very difficult, even though Q says he is a cooperating witness. Now, Q said that about Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, too, but we don't see that here anymore. Doesn't say that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page was a cooperating witness. Says Lisa Page has been fired and forced out. We also have testimony coming from Mike Cortan, Assistant Director of Public Affairs. Fired. Did he already give it? And we didn't know. Not really sure. And then we go into some of these names here as well. Now, I'm not going to go into all these, but I think, like I said, we still have a few more. And I'm imagining we're going to still be getting some, whether it's deposition or testimony from some of these guys. I have a feeling we still have yet to hear from this very last top echelon here. And these are some of the names that are left blank. Then we go into the DOJ, David Loffman, Chief of the Justice Department's Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, National Security, HRC, Email, Invest. He was fired and forced out. And then we go to John Carlin, Sally Yates. We already know they were fired, Mary McCord. And then we get down here to Bruce Orr. Okay, he's on his way out the door. And it looks like Q updated that. Termination imminent. So I imagine we are going to see Bruce or get his security clearance yanked. Should have been done a long time ago. Rachel Brand, she went off investigating low prices at Walmart, right? A.G. Rosenstein, fired/forced? We haven't seen that yet. Nothing to see here. Who ordered? Well, would be Sessions part of all this? Remember, Sessions has to be aware of all this, right? But who ordered all this? I'm not sure if Q is necessarily pointing us to the presidential daily brief going up to Obama, or if Q is implying that a lot of what's being going on is being given to President Trump right now in his presidential daily brief. Not really sure exactly what that means in this particular order here. But who ordered all of this? Would have been Obama, right? Obama knew about all this spying, and that's why all these people were being let go. And this had to have been given to him in the presidential daily briefing. So I'm assuming that we are talking about Barack Hussein Obama. Let's move on to the next post. Post 2070, 29 minutes after the hour of 7 p.m. We get this from May 17th. What is the common theme when bad news is about to break against them? Stay vigilant. Well, we all know what that is, right? False flags, attacks, danger, Planes falling out of the sky, houses blowing up, cars running off the road, trains derailing, weird stuff going on, people committing suicide, right? Crazy stuff going on. So stay safe. And I think Q is just warning us to, keep our wits about us. This was, interestingly enough, posted at 13/13/19 on May 17th. Let's move on. Post 2071, 27 minutes after the hour of 8 p.m. Q adds onto this list. The experts talking about the pundits on TV, mostly conservative pundits at the moment. But Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., otherwise known as the corrupt swamp. Yeah, good idea. Let's waste another 2 years with a slow D.C. faction that doesn't want to work with us. Sounds great. We'll get nowhere. But Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., otherwise known as the corrupt swamp. Team of less than 20, typically, understaffed, and wait 2 to 4 years. Take a gamble. Yeah, if we're lucky, we'll get a chance to do it for the next president. But Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., otherwise known as the corrupt swamp, because unlike the Clinton email corrupt case, which went nowhere, as demonstrated by the FBI DOJ, people fired and removed. All the people that were blocking that case are gone now. This will be conducted faithfully and honestly, like Mueller. But Huber has not directly interviewed several witnesses. Therefore, the appointment of Huber by Sessions, and therefore the IG, Horowitz, is not genuine. Are you sure about that? But Sessions and Huber are following standard DOJ open ongoing investigation policy by not discussing, making public, so therefore nothing must be happening. Fire Sessions. Right, we talked about this at great length the other day. That's the point, right? You've got President Trump railing against Sessions outwardly. And that's got everybody fired up. And all these pundits are saying we need to fire Sessions. He's not been doing anything. And the reason everyone thinks he's not been doing anything is because we don't hear anything about it, because nobody's discussing it. And the reason why no one is discussing it is because all the dumbasses that did all the leaking are up here and they're fired. You understand? No one's leaking anymore because there's an investigation going on. And it's okay if you outwardly hate Sessions, right? That dummy's not doing anything. And of course, the left catches on to that and says, yeah, that dummy's not doing anything. Don't get rid of him. You see what I'm saying? But Huber, ability to prosecute, plus impanel a grand jury outside of D.C., 90% plus, voted Hillary Rodham Clinton 2016, who already began the investigations late last year with a signed team of 470 investigators, attorney, plus IG, being Horowitz, plus legal jurisdiction across all 50 states. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we've seen all the arrests. They haven't been the famous arrests. They haven't been the famous arrests in D.C. But look at who we had to get rid of to get to the people we want to get rid of in D.C. It's not a special counsel, so therefore nothing is being done. Well, it's not a special counsel, but we do have grand juries. I'd rather be dealing with grand juries than special counsels. I'd rather be dealing with courts-martial than special counsels. So therefore, nothing is being done? Not exactly. But POTUS is attacking Sessions via Twitter. So therefore, he is not working on behalf of the people's interests. Look, the president can talk to Sessions anytime he wants. He doesn't need to tweet. Okay? This is all outward narrative. This is WWE wrestling, right? President Trump is Hulk Hogan. And he's like, what you gonna do, brother, when these 24-inch pythons come for you? And Jeff Sessions is like Randy Macho Man Savage. And he's like, oh yeah, come at me, bro. But look, that's not how it has to go down. This is all outward narrative stuff. He does not need to tweet him. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So therefore, he is not working on behalf of the people's interests or POTUS. D/left/love/trust Session. Precisely. Oh, he's a knucklehead? Then we like him because we like knuckleheads. But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are so many FBI and DOJ senior officials being fired and or removed from their respective positions of power? Exactly. Why are all those dummies gone? Look, if this were the swamp, it'd still be a massive swamp. It'd be a bigger swamp. Now, we've still got a swamp. We've just got a much, much smaller swamp. We never would have gotten rid of these guys if we weren't doing something. And we can't really do anything massively effective until they're all gone. Well, who is AG? That's the Attorney General. It's Jeff Sessions, right? Who must sign off on each removal? Him. He does. He knows about all those dummies up above. He knows about it. They're all part of the intelligence community, which means they have to report to Jeff Sessions. DOJ in charge of FBI? Yes, the FBI is part of the intelligence community. But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are there 50,000 plus sealed indictments across the U.S.? Yeah, look, they're not the sexy names, like I like to call them. They're not the names you want to see yet, but they're important ones. How many human traffic rings have been broken up? How many strange murders have we seen go on? It's been out of control. 50,000 plus sealed indictments across the U.S. What percentage equals USA versus X? I'm not really sure. I'm sure this is a global scale, right? So this is massive. Going around the world. Coincidence versus Hubert Starr? Not at all. Not at all. But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are so many powerful CEOs, members of Congress, Senate resigning? Yeah, this guy Leo out of China just got popped too the other day for child sex trafficking, blah, 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 blah. Guys, they're getting nailed all over the world. They're all stepping down. They're all stepping aside. Or they're playing ball. Example, pre-POTUS, did the Speaker of the House indicate wanting to leave politics? No. Paul Ryan's a young guy. He wanted to keep going. He probably wanted to be president. Now all of a sudden he's stepping down? But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are human trafficking arrests surging? We just talked about that, right? Because we've got tons and tons of evidence. You're watching a movie, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching a movie. Clickbait and opinions versus logical thinking. We've seen massive waves of it. A few of them, right? Coming against Q, coming against the president, coming against us, me and you and me, us. And it's just clickbait. It's just opinions. Logical thinking has always underlined this story. And it seems to me pretty easy to understand that we're not hearing about this stuff that much, because if we were hearing about it, it would be clickbait and opinions. Keep in mind, everything we're being told is wrong. And yet we're mad that we're not getting told about this. That's because no one's leaking. All the leakers are getting arrested. Direct communication necessary. Yeah, this board right here, you and I, figuring it out for ourselves. Not taking my word for it. Trust in yourself. Think for yourself. Where we go one, we go all. Let's move on. Post 2072. 4 minutes after the hour of 9 p.m., we confront our not-so-formidable foes. An Anon posts this Twitter from one of my favorite comedians, Kathy Griffin. I never thought I'd want Jeff Sessions to stay on as Attorney General. But at this point, it's the only way to guarantee that Mueller and Rosenstein won't be messed with. That's how low we are right now. Oh no, Kathy. It gets much lower. You've been much lower. It gets much lower. Well, that is a big fat kick right there, isn't it? And then we get this one. Trump blasts Sessions. All these accounts are verified, saying the same thing in chronological order. Who is coordinated their headlines? Who's pulling the strings? And Q confirms. And then the next, we'll take a look at this graphic in the next post here. 2073, 6 minutes after the hour of 9. This guy says better pick. And let me take you to it here. And as you can see, look, these guys are as dumb as the media they follow. ABC 15, Trump blasts Sessions over indictments of 2 of his earliest congressional supporters. David Alexander says, Trump blasts Sessions for charging GOP members before midterms. Washington Examiner says, good job, Jeff. Trump blasts Sessions for criminal charges imperiling GOP seats. And Benjamin Byron Davis, he has a new twist on it. Trump blasts Sessions over charges against GOP congressmen. You see what's going on. These are all just a bunch of robot knuckleheads. And they bought in. Hook, line, and sinker. So guess what, Kathy? You just keep running with that, kiddo. You just keep doing what you do. You just do what you do. Let's move on. Post 2074, 28 minutes after the hour of 9 p.m. We get this graphic here. Facebook was created by DARPA to track a person's entire existence. We've talked about this in quite some length. You see on the left, this article here, Pentagon kills LifeLog project. This was in February 4th, 2004. Same day over here that Facebook goes live. They just rebranded themselves and offered themselves out to the public. And of course, here's their face, their paper tiger. And he's testified before saying that, it's all good. We don't steal your data, even though we steal your data. We don't steal your data. We just steal your data. Q says, Facebook outages today. Yeah, I guess there was a bunch of Facebook, particularly it looked like on the East Coast, but it looked like it reached kind of all over the country. I don't particularly use Facebook, so I didn't notice, but a lot of people were talking about it. How about that for timing? And then Q directs their attention at Jack. Shadow bans lifted, 24 hours, and I would assume that's 24 hours before the testimony. Jack Dorsey's going to be testifying before the Committee of Energy and Commerce regarding these shadow bans, and of course he's walking around saying, well, no, we don't shadow ban people, we just shadow ban them. Twitter denies the current adoption of shadow banning regarding political viewpoints, etc. No. You shadow ban. No discrimination, that's not true, etc. Pride ourselves regarding no censorship, that's not true, etc. Open and transparent, also not true. Twitter re-engages shadow banning across entire platform. Yeah, then he kind of came out the other day and was like, yeah, all right, we do. What of it? So these guys don't really care, right? Because they know that they're protected. And who are they protected by? These knucklehead clowns over here that's been funding them and giving them their false confidence for so long, and all that's starting to fall apart. Q goes on to say, you've been a bad boy. Well, Dorsey, Zuckerberg, they've both been bad boys, haven't they? And then we get NP in brackets here. We talking about Nancy Pelosi? After all, Nancy Pelosi met with Jack. Remember this from February 15th. At Jack, civilian puppet, player in the game, we play for keeps. Need help sleeping? How was your meeting with Pelosi? Protection offered? Life lesson, be smarter than those controlling you. T-minus 12:34. When this was post 771. So we know that Jack met with Pelosi. And of course, when we think Pelosi, we can think about all these clown knuckleheads, right? Now, there are some people that think that this NP could be Nick Pickles, and that's like their lead strategist over there at Twitter. Very well could be. He also gave some testimony too, saying, no, we don't shadow ban. He flat out lied. He gave testimony saying that shadow banning didn't exist. Went on to talk about how it kind of started with Reddit and things like that. This is going on for a very, very long time, but he said us in particular, we do a different kind of thing, and he kind of tried to skirt the issue, but essentially he was saying, we don't shadow ban you, we just shadow ban you. So it looks to me like the rhetoric is ramping up on these social media giants who were led by guys like that and Jack and Nick Pickles. It's about time we deal with these guys. And as the rhetoric ramps up, I can't help but think we're closer and closer to something. I have no idea if we're going to get much from this testimony from Jack Dorsey. Probably not. They're probably going to have to be dealt with very, very harshly because they seem to just be laughing at us all the way. So the only thing that's going to happen is the hammer's going to have to drop down on these guys. We'll see what's up. Let me take you here to post 1379 from May 16th. And as you can see in the news, Google Home was making some headlines. They got caught basically speaking out against Breitbart. They got caught lying about other things too. This Google Home is a lot like Amazon Alexa or whatnot. And of course, Twitter was in the news about shadow banning. And Q says 5-2, which I'm assuming was May 2nd. There must have been this meeting with Nancy Pelosi, and they must have it recorded. At 8 minutes 11, speaker, your protection against. So could it be that Twitter was meeting with Nancy Pelosi in regards to having some protection in exchange for shadow banning to make sure that those midterms turn out just the way everybody would like to see, right? And then we have Jack Dorsey at 8:13. ABC has an interest in this. And then we have NP again at 8:14. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dashes. Appear 39. So did somebody set up a meeting with Pelosi? Could that be PICKLES? Not really sure. Either way, these guys have been a bad boy, and it looks like somebody met for some protection with Nancy Pelosi. Let's move on. Post 2075. We get some of this documentation right here, and Q gives us a link to this. from the U.S. Department of State, OIG. Office of the Secretary, Evaluation of Email Records, Management and Cyber Security Requirements from May of 2016. Now, this is an 83-page document, so we're just going to cover what Q is covering right here. In March 2009, after unsuccessful efforts to supply Secretary Clinton with a secure government smartphone, DS, being Department of State, was informed that Secretary Clinton's staff had been asking to use BlackBerry devices inside classified areas. The Assistant Secretary of DS then sent a classified memorandum to Secretary Clinton's Chief of Staff that described the vulnerabilities associated with the use of BlackBerry devices and also noted the prohibition on the use of BlackBerry devices in sensitive areas. According to a DS official, shortly after the memorandum was delivered, Secretary Clinton approached the Assistant Secretary and told him she gets it. The use of personal email accounts to conduct official business has been a particular concern over the past several years. For example, on March 11, 2011, the Assistant Secretary for Diplomatic Security sent a memorandum on cybersecurity threats directly to Secretary Clinton. A portion of the unclassified version of this memorandum states, "Threat analysis by the DS cybersecurity team and related incident reports indicate a dramatic increase since January 2011 in attempts by redacted cyber actors to compromise the private home email accounts of senior department officials. Although the targets are unclassified personal email accounts, the likely objective is to compromise user accounts and thereby gain access to policy documents and personal information that could enable technical surveillance and possible blackmail. The personal email of family members also is at risk." Okay, so she was getting warned. This goes on to say, as some compromised home systems have been reconfigured by these actors to automatically forward copied of all composed emails to an undisclosed recipient. Well, so who were some of those recipients? Were they foreign recipients? And this is regards to a March 2011 memorandum. DS cybersecurity staff conducted 2 cybersecurity briefings of S/ES staff, the Secretary's immediate staff, and Bureau of Public Affairs staff in April and May 2011. OIG discovered in Secretary Clinton's retired paper files a copy of the classified presentation used during the briefing. It contains material similar to the type provided in the March 11, 2011 memorandum. On June 28, 2011, the department, in a cable entitled Securing Personal Email Accounts that was approved by the Assistant Secretary for Diplomatic Security and sent over Secretary Clinton's name to all diplomatic and consular posts, encouraged department users to check the security settings and change passwords of their home email accounts because of recent targeting of personal email accounts by online adversaries. The cable further elaborated that recently Google asserted that online adversaries are targeting the personal Gmail account of U.S. government employees. Okay, so this was a big warning from the Assistant Secretary for Diplomatic Security that was letting Clinton know, hey, your stuff's getting hacked into and sent to foreign entities. People are getting your stuff. Why are you using this BlackBerry? You're not supposed to be using this BlackBerry. And she's like, yeah, I get it. No problem. And she's sitting here thinking, all this stuff can be broken into, huh? When I could just sell it. Because she's Clinton, right? She's Costco. She sells everything. Now, Q highlights this part right here. As some compromised home systems have been reconfigured by these actors to automatically forward copies of all composed emails to an undisclosed recipient. Yeah, sounds like she got it easy. And then it refers us here to pages 33 and 34. And that's this right here, privately owned computers and mobile devices. It goes on to talk about their department regulations and this and that, what kind of phones you can use and what kind of access you can use. Let's see here. Under this policy, PDAs could only be turned on and used within department areas that are strictly unclassified, such as the cafeteria, and could not connect with the department network except via department-approved remote access programs such as Global Open Net. Okay, and it goes on to talk about this kind of stuff and referring to non-department owned mobile devices and the use of that and where and when it can be used. And it talks about internet connections, personal email, all that kind of stuff. Basically all the rules they were breaking, right? So it looks to me like this may very well be part of the content of these 20 pages of cheesy bacony goodness that will hopefully get dropped. I keep wanting to say it's going to be any minute, right? We don't really know, but I guess that's the excitement of it, is we don't really know.
Do it!
But we do know that everybody's panicking because of it. Q goes on to say, the more you know. And I'm not really sure what reference. Q is usually making an NBC reference there. And we're talking about the Broadcasting Board of Governors. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did a little digging and we found some relations between the Broadcasting Board of Governors. Maybe some of these people were working for the media that were working with Clinton as well. Not really sure. I haven't done much deep digging. This was a new post here that was that came in as I was doing the reading. And so there you go. But that's all I have for you today. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who have been sharing my videos. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. If you are new to my channel, please understand that from time to time, you will be unclicked and unliked and unnotified. I am on Gab. I'm on Real.Video. I am on BitChute. All those links are down below, as well as my Twitter at IPOT 1776, at IPOT 1776. My email and my Patreon are also down below if you'd like to support the channel. That's all I got for you today, Patriots. And until next time, stay on the right side of the road.